And welcome to Ask Your Academic. Today's session will hopefully cover the MSc Animal Welfare Science, Ethics and Law, the MSc Conservation Management in African Ecosystems, the MRes Ecology and Environmental Biology, MSc Epidemiology of Infectious Disease and Antimicrobial Resistance, and the MSc Quantitative Methods in Biodiversity Conservation and Epidemiology. Hopefully some more panel members will join us, but thanks very much to our panel that are with us just now. They are here to answer any questions that you may have about the programmes mentioned. So some questions have been submitted before today's session, so we'll do our best to answer all of those. If you've got any questions throughout, please use the chat box and we'll keep an eye on that. If you've got any questions that are specific to your application or funding, I'll pop some helpful links into the chat box for you. We are recording today's session, so that will be sent out later on today so that you can rewatch anything that you might miss. So if our panel would like to introduce ourselves, we can get going. Jason, would you like to start off?
Yes, hi, my name is Jason Matthiopoulos. I'm a professor here in the School of Biodiversity, and I'm leading the Masters in Quantitative Methods QMBCE. My background is theoretical ecology, and I mostly work in spatial and population dynamics processes myself. Is that enough, Naomi?
Who's next in our panel? Don't be shy.
Okay, I'll maybe join in then. My name's Dominic McCafferty. I coordinate the MRes in Ecology and Environmental Biology here in the School of Biodiversity also. I'm an animal ecologist with quite broad interests in thermal biology and mammal and bird ecology. So I supervise a number of projects in that field as well as coordinate the programme overall.
Okay, I'm Ruedi Nager. I'm coordinating together with Dorothy McKeegan the Animal Welfare Science, Ethics and Law. I'm also the PGT or postgraduate teaching convener of the school. I'm from background, I'm interested in how animals are coping with the environment, and that might be the natural environment, how they cope with environmental change and so on, but it also how they cope with artificial environment like a captive environment, which have led me to some sort of interest in animal welfare, which are quite similar issues as even wild animals are encountering. Okay.
Thank you. And could you give us a bit of an overview of your programme? So what sort of semester 1 looks like, 2, and then the final sort of semester where the project takes place?
So yeah, so the QMBC is, like many of these programs, split into 3 equal parts in terms of credits. In the first semester leading out to Christmas, all students cover the same curriculum, which looks at essential quantitative methods, how to use R, how to use tools within R, basic principles of statistics, basic principles of modeling, and concepts. From that point on into the second semester, there's a plethora of optional courses, which are usually short and fat, so they last, at the moment, they last about 2 weeks, or fairly intensive look into particular topics. Topics include, at the moment, spatial ecology, evolutionary questions, Bayesian statistics, and population ecology, community ecology, all from the point of view of how to formalize these things into models. And the key characteristic of that second semester is that students get a choice, and they formulate exactly their own curriculum, exactly their own diet, in consultation with me. In the third semester, during the summer, the research project happens, for which the students are encouraged and helped to formulate ideas all through the year. So that's dedicated study, independent research until September, with an allocated supervisor, at least one. Certainly one internal to the school, potentially with external collaborators if the student is interested in such a thing. That's the overview from the QMBC point of view.
It may make sense if I continue with the animal welfare one, which is very similar, and that is also applying for the other programs except for the MRes, which Dominic will explain afterwards. They all start in term one with an introductory course in just basics about how to do science and about quantitative skills. So it's about scientific communication, about experimental design, about analyzing data. And all the programs from the school will go through that same course, which prepares you for what is then coming. In animal welfare, we also do animal welfare science in the first term, where we define what is actually animal welfare. And then after Christmas until Easter, there's the second term where there's a choice of courses. There are some courses in our program you have to take. You have to do ethics and you have to do legislation. Otherwise, the name animal welfare science, ethics and law doesn't make any sense. But apart from that, you have some choices then about we have courses about biology of suffering, what's the foundation of why animals might get in suffering and distress. There's a course about how to assess animal welfare. There's a course about how to look after animals, how to care for them, how to do husbandry, how to design an enclosure, how to design enrichment. It's a very, very creative course where you can come up with your own ideas. But then you're also open to a lot of courses across from the different programs. So some of the courses which Jason just described, or some courses about conservation biology or epidemiology, which you can also choose in. You make up a little bit your own curriculum in that sense. And then, like all the other programs, then after Easter in term 3, you're going to do your own independent research project. It's quite nice if you want to come up with your own project, and we are guiding you along and help you to do what you really would like to do. But we also have some projects which we can offer you if you prefer to do that. You have a bit of a leading time before the project starts to familiarize yourself with it and your supervisor, and then together with your supervisor you're going to collect data in June, and you'll analyze and write up what you've collected in July and August, and that's finished your term 3. The MRes is slightly different, and Dominic will talk you through how that is going to work.
Thanks, Ruedi. Yeah, that gives us a good overview of the MSc program. So the MRes program is a little bit different in structure. So what we have there is a third of the program is made up of top courses, and 2/3 of the program is made up of research work. So it's a slightly different balance between top courses and independent research project work. So the first semester will essentially be shared with the MSc programs, where you'll be developing those key research skills as your option in that semester 1. Halfway through that semester, you'll also be developing ideas for your research interests and identifying projects and supervisors for a chosen topic. We'll give you lots of guidance over choosing a topic, and some of it may be coming up with your own ideas. You'll be very clear on what you want to do. Others may be interested in learning more about new fields of research. So we'll match you up with a supervisor in November, and from that point onwards, you'll be doing your research project. which will involve the first stage as a literature review and kind of project plan, and that will span across into semester 2, and finish that first piece of literature research by the end of the second semester. While you're doing that literature review, you'll also be doing 2 other options that you can choose. So these are 10 credit options. You'll be given a range of courses in statistics, field methods, identification skills courses that you can take, and you'll complete those all by the end of semester 2. So that will leave you well set up to undertake the main part of your research project in the final summer semester, on your data analysis and writing up of your research paper. And that will finish at the end of August with a final poster session presenting your work to other members of staff and colleagues. So a little bit different from the MSc, but just a slightly different focus in the amount of independent research work.
Thank you. And I think all of you there mentioned optional courses. When would students choose them? Is that at the very start, or do they get some sort of overview of them and then choose them throughout? How does that work?
So the sort of the same answer applies to pretty much everybody here. There's for QMPC at least, I tend to have 2 one-to-one advising sessions with each student. One is towards the middle to end of the first semester, and then the second one is towards the end of the first semester. So we have those spaced out so that students are kind of learning a bit about what they're good at, what they're interested in. And there's particular tools that come from the sort of postgraduate teaching management that enable students to facilitate their workload in the second semester and make sure that the prerequisites are satisfied and the mixture of knowledge that they acquire is appropriate. So there is support throughout, and of course changes are permitted, but certainly not after the courses have begun in earnest in the second semester. Is that fair, Ruedi?
Yes, that's absolutely fine. Thank you, Jason. So maybe just one thing about changes. You choose your courses for term 2, but once term 2 has started, so from early January onwards, you can't change anymore. Because it's a delicate planning to get everybody at the right place at the right time. That is very difficult to then do with last minute changes. Maybe just to add to what Jason said about advisors, every student is assigned an advisor right from the start. You might have formal meetings which the advisor offers, but your advisor is always open and you can always go and meet and talk to your advisor at any time you need. So you're not limited to just the meetings which are offered by the advisor. It's you can go and seek the advisor at any time you need some advice.
Perfect, thank you. And how will students be assessed throughout the year? Is it a different mix of assessments for different courses?
Well, I can try to answer that. Is that yes, all the courses are assigned during the course, so there's no exams at the end of a term or the end of the year. So there will be assignments, and that varies from course to course. That might be one assignment, which is for the entire course. It might be split in 2, 3 or more assignments. It's depending on the course. And you usually have to complete that assignment 2 weeks after a course ends, and you submit those electronically. And so they are then weighted according to the credits of the course. So most courses are 10 credits, but say the big initial course about key research skills is 40 credits. So the grades are then weighted according to that. And over the first 2 terms, you have to take 120 credits, and the grade point average over these 120 credits is calculated, which you need then to pass on to term 3 for the project. And then the projects are assessed by a report you're writing. It might also include some poster in the case of MRES and conservation management of African ecosystems. And it also involves, in all cases, a proposal. So you start off with writing a proposal, getting feedback on that. That will be assessed. You then do your data collection, and you write a report. So that's the assessment.
Perfect. There's a question came through there asking about optional courses, and I see Jason's just answered it, but just so it goes out in the recording, how does it work with optional courses? Are they sort of capped per space? Is there often enough space for everybody that wants to go on them?
We're trying our very best not to cap any course, and I think with the numbers we're expecting, it will be fine. We don't need to cap any of the courses. So optional courses you can choose. There's a deadline shortly before Christmas, where you have to put your choices, but you don't have to rush it. It's not that you might miss out on a course you would like to do because of limited numbers. You can take your time to make your choice.
Perfect. And in terms of preparation, is there anything students can do before they start in September to prepare for their programme starting?
I'm well rested. Sorry, Jason.
Go ahead, Ruedi.
Thank you. Come well rested. It's an intense course. It starts with a very intense course. So just come well rested. And carry you through until Christmas. That's probably the best you can do. You might have other suggestions, Jason?
For QMBC in particular, I think people can contact me directly, and I can recommend some reading. And it's always appreciated if people have brushed up on their high school math skills for this particular course, at least. Other than that, yeah, I think having had a good summer's break, as Ruedi said, is important. And if you are planning to try and keep a part-time job at the same time as through the year, please do get in touch with us for advice on workloads.
Maybe I could just add one other thing in terms of preparation for the MRes. So obviously the the focus is very much about developing your own research interests. So anything that you can do to get yourself up to date in some of the kind of latest developments in particular fields. So I often recommend to the students to have a look at some journals that have review papers in aquatic ecology or marine biology that you might be interested in. So a journal such as Trends in Ecology and Evolution can be a really nice starting point to kind of browse through some of your the kind of latest topics in your field that might interest you. So do some preparatory reading, I think, in that sense. And likewise, you know, if you do have any specific questions, you can contact myself through the dedicated email address, which is available to you, and we can answer any specific questions.
Perfect.
Yes,
thank you.
So, maybe to add for the MRes as well, another thing you could do is look at the list of staff at the school and see what is the research interest, and see if there's anything already now which takes your fancy, and you might, if you want to do some specific reading, or actually already get in touch with these people to get started. But in general, I think if you want to have a reading list or want something more, just get in touch with the course leaders. And I'm sure Naomi will put up some email addresses for each of the each of the programs where you can get in touch, and we will provide you with some further reading if you like, or answer your questions.
Okay, I'll drop those links into the chat just now. We're always asked how much time students can expect to spend in class, and I know there's no such thing as a typical week, but per course, how many sort of class hours should they maybe expect? Try count them up, Jason.
I would say in the second semester, in the most intense periods, we're looking at 20 class hours a week. So I'm thinking of 2 short, fat optional courses running simultaneously in alternate days with about 4 hours per session. So
Yeah, maybe just to follow on, these are full-time courses, so you are expected to be working on your course throughout the week. We encourage you to attend all the kind of taught sessions on campus. It will be delivered mainly face-to-face. When it comes to your research project time, you've got a little bit more flexibility, but certainly in semester 1, you would probably be expected to be on campus 4 days out of 5, during that first semester.
Yeah, I think that's right. So the first semester is probably daily. You have daily classes, and later on, if you're doing in term 2, you have probably a bit more flexibility in your time. But as Jason said, maybe sometimes you're taking 2 courses at the same time because that's what you like to do. These courses now will be a good estimate of how many hours you spend in class, but you probably spend at least as many hours outside class as well, doing further reading, preparing for your assignments, etc., etc. But that means if you have a period of 2 weeks with 2 courses, you also will have a period of 2 weeks with no course at all.
Perfect. And then there was another question came through in the chat asking, are there any extra courses outside the main or optional courses of the programme to support students, such as R, programming for beginners, etc.?
So I've typed an answer in already, but essentially we cover basic stats, essential modeling, programming, use of R, and so on from scratch in the first semester. It helps if you've been exposed to these things before, but actually the sort of level of previous knowledge that we assume is, by my evaluation, quite low. So people are given a chance to learn and catch up. A good student would be able to pick these things up even if they've not seen R before. But obviously, the sort of admissions process will tend to take the students who have the best level of exposure in their CVs. Yeah.
Perfect. What the graduates of the programmes all go on to do? I'm imagining it's quite varied.
Will I start this time? So yeah, there is all these degrees provide you with a range of scientific skills that are entirely transferable to either future study at PhD level or into employment. So in the MRes in particular, with the focus being on research skills development, we probably have somewhere about 20 to 25% of our students will go on to do PhDs following the MRes. The remaining group of students will go into a variety of employers, and currently quite a number of our graduates are being employed as ecological consultants, with a number of industries in Scotland recruiting graduates from our programme. We have in the past also had students work in conservation organisations, non-government organisations, occasionally into teaching as well. So quite a variety of different employers will be seeking your expertise, I think, after a program such as this.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. As I guess in general, what you're getting is the academic skills, but you get also a lot of transferable skills, which would set you up for a lot of other professions as well, as Tom described. There's a whole range of maybe non-academic jobs, which you would be prepared for through kind of proven time management and writing skills and quantitative skills, which you acquire through the course. In specific animal welfare, there's a huge diversity of potential future careers, which might go from academic to policy making to campaigning and so on. And through the choice of our assignments, we're trying to promote any of these skills. So it's a diversity of different assignments which try to promote various skills which might become useful in a whole range of different future professions.
Jason, anything you want to add there? No. Quite happy. Well, that is us just near the end of our session. We've covered quite a lot of information there. I don't know if there's anything that you feel we've missed or that you'd like to add before we just close off. All good? Perfect. Well, thanks very much to our panel for taking time out of your busy day, and thanks everybody that's joined us. Like I said, we have recorded this session, so I'll get that out to you this afternoon. And if you do have any further questions, you can contact the programme administration teams, all of which the email address can be found in the programme webpage. Jason, do you want to say something?
There's one outstanding question on animal welfare. So have any animal welfare graduates gone on to conservation related jobs?
I think the question is yes. There's a bit sort of an overlap and also a contrast between conservation and welfare, which we are exploring in our courses. One looking more at populations and one looking more at individuals. But there's a lot of transferable skills between the two programs. A lot of ways how we assess the welfare, say, of a farm animal is very similar as we assess the condition of a wild animal on which we are basing conservation decisions. So by all means, I think they are transferable in terms of skills you're learning, applying one to the other.
Perfect. Thank you. That is now us at the end of our session. So thanks again to our panel, and hopefully we'll see you all in September. So thank you. Bye bye.